now tuned into the greatest.
The Run with Manny Wilson podcast.
The Run with Manny Wilson podcast.
The best sports podcast there is.
Yes, sir. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to The Run with me, Manny Wilson, all the way from Detroit to Chicago to your speakers and headphones. I appreciate you tuning in to the first interactive sports podcast, a community that makes sure your voice is heard. So if you hear something you agree with, you disagree with, you like or you dislike, or even if you just want to outsmart me on something I said, go ahead, shoot us a quick tape, 219-413-9405. And of course, we will play your take back on our next episode. And shout out to SeatGeek for sponsoring this episode. Go ahead and get $20 off your first ticket purchase when you use the promo code TheRunPodcast. Now, this code can only be applied for first-time users on the mobile app or the website. So, I'm not sure about you, but it's a bunch of concerts, it's a bunch of football games, college football games, all of that stuff. So, I got to go ahead and create me an account, use that promo code, get that $20 discount. Anyway, look, man, speaking of football, of course, we're prime time in the season. We had opening week. Happened in this past Sunday and all through the week, actually, because it started off with the Thursday night football. But we're just going to escalate straight to Sunday because I witnessed some good football, witnessed a lot of bad football. Kind of goes both ways. But in this particular instance, I'm talking about the Atlanta Falcons and the Pittsburgh Steelers game here because the Steelers won 18-10 over the Atlanta Falcons. And the big shocker about this game was the Steelers won without scoring a single touchdown. They literally did not score one touchdown. They kicked 6 field goals and beat the Atlanta Falcons. So it was just wild to watch this game because the whole time I'm watching the Atlanta Falcons and I just know they're going to strike, score a touchdown again and just wrap the game up, kind of put it out of distance. But it was just weird because the Steelers stayed around. They didn't really get anything flowing on their offense, but they stayed solid on the defensive end. And eventually they kept kicking field goals. And here we are. They ended up winning the game. But let's break it down because it was a lot of things that happened. So first off, the Steelers had some lockdown defense. I want to give credit where it's due because it's due to the Steelers right now. Their defense was impeccable this game. Sent Kirk Cousins through hell. TJ Watt was pissing me off all game watching this. TJ Watt is a monster. He was a leader in his position all last season. And now you can see why at the start of the season, he's already carried that same sort of momentum. And then not only was TJ Watt a huge problem on that defensive line for the Steelers, but you also had Montravius Adams, who was also a huge impact on that defensive line. Honestly, the entire Steelers defensive line was just causing ruckus and causing chaos for the Atlanta Falcons. They kept the pressure on Kirk Cousins, couldn't really get a pass off, was swallowed up a bunch of times throughout the game. And I mean, honestly, some of the things that happened aren't on the stat sheet, but if you look there, you'll see TJ Watt had 2 sacks, but the things that happened that aren't on there were because of penalties. So in the penalties, if these things would have counted, we saw 2 additional sacks, a forced fumble, a fumble recovery, all just from TJ Watt on the Pittsburgh Steelers. He was impeccable, man. And he took a lot of offense away from the Atlanta Falcons, and he was just a true home wrecker, honestly. So first and foremost, the defense was solid from the Steelers. I don't want to discredit them at all. Atlanta Falcons had a lot of struggles going on, which I'll touch on in a second. But even on the offensive end, the Pittsburgh Steelers were pretty damn impressive. A lot of people came into the season hating on Justin Fields, saying he's not ready and just kind of clowning Justin Fields based on his prior experience with the Chicago Bears. And we seen a different side of Justin Fields. When he had some solid protection by the O-line, he made plays to Pickens, and he picked us apart. He picked the Atlanta Falcons apart whenever he had time to actually throw the ball. They handed the ball off to Najee Harris. He did his thing running the ball. So when you look at all the different weapons that Justin Fields has now compared to what he had, it's a clear difference of night and day. And it also shows why they had some sort of success running the offense there in Pittsburgh, even though the game was in Atlanta. So I'm happy for Justin Fields. I'm glad he played well. He completed over 70% of his passes, threw for 156 yards, no interceptions, was very patient, took care of the ball, and ultimately controlled the offense for the Pittsburgh Steelers to help them win the game. Even though they didn't score, which I thought they would have, they still were able to continuously put points on the board, which gave them the win. The Atlanta Falcons, on the other hand, they were unable to even put points on the board. The offense was a shit show. It was struggling all game. We've seen maybe at least one drive where it was kind of solid. Actually, two. There was two drives from the Atlanta Falcons that was actually solid. And I witnessed one of them was a touchdown. You ended up getting it to Kyle Pitts. Everyone was happy about that, especially the fantasy owners. But there was another drive that was ruined because of sloppy play. There was a fumble in the red zone that caused them another potential touchdown or another potential 3 points that could have been on the board and helped them out. There was a lot of simple mistakes. Kirk Cousins threw multiple interceptions. Threw an interception earlier in the game, and hey, you kind of had to let it slide. It's the beginning of the game. You can make up for it. But then you get a game-winning drive, and you fail to even get your team in field goal position. You fail to even get a fair shot to win the ball game. You throw another interception. It was bad. It was off. It was awful. And from the Falcons offense, one of the things I noticed is it was just a lot of thinking going on. It was a lot of trying to figure things out at the last second, and that ultimately led to the stupid penalties that they received. You can't do that. You can't really just be out on the field thinking a lot. We all know any professional sport, any sport you're playing, about muscle memory and reacting. We didn't see a lot of that from the Atlanta Falcons. They were struggling. It was a lot of confusion out there on the offensive end, and it showed. It showed. I know it's week one. I don't think it's time to, really panic, even though I'm telling you the offense didn't look good. The defense was getting picked apart. I know I'm telling you, hey, it was looking bad, but I really don't think it's time to panic for the Atlanta Falcons just because it's week one, obviously. And we've seen the potential that offense has. We've seen the potential that the defense has. Both sides got to clean some things up. But above all, Kirk Cousins can throw the ball, and they can actually get the ball out and make something happen in the air. And then the Falcons, they did also heavily rely on the ground game, which moved the ball fairly solid against a pretty damn good defense as well. So it's a couple different things to be proud of. If you are standing there for the Atlanta Falcons and you're feeling a little bit down because of this loss. But above all, Steelers definitely earned this game. They played solid, and it was well-deserved. It was well-deserved. So, anyway, look, we got a side note here because above the NFL, there was a lot of college football going on as well. College football, some upsets happened. The big Alabama game was almost very scary for a lot of Alabama fans. Notre Dame, they were upset by Northern Illinois. It was absolutely insane. And, watching that game, just playing it back, I think you got to remember on any given Saturday or whatever day college teams are going head to head, you got to be aware, man. Things changed because of the way NIL deals work now. Now it's not necessarily, this school is a huge football school and this school is a MAC school, or they're a smaller tiered school, they're a Sun school, or whatever conference that is. They're a small school. You don't have to worry about teams being deemed a football school and a team who's just an academic grade school. No, you don't have to worry about that. Now you got to worry about NIL because at this point, it's not about the history of a program and how well this school has been historically. It's about how much money are they throwing to build a new roster, and are they picking the right guys? Because seeing a number 5 team in Notre Dame go down to Northern Illinois, not saying that those guys aren't good or whatever, but that's a damn shame. That just shows you it does not matter what name your school has, what logo your school has. At the end of the day, you got to go out there and play against another elite school or elite athletes that could have went somewhere else, but they decided to go take advantage of the opportunity where they are. So, just keep your eyes out. Don't get too comfortable. Some of y'all got these easy schedules on the college football schedule, and don't get too comfortable because just know it might be some sleeper schools out there. They might not have the numbers to be ranked. They might not have the popularity to be ranked and voted in to the top 12 and all of that. But just know they are some animals because even Alabama, they struggled. They struggled for a hot minute against South Florida. It was looking scary all game, and the score didn't really reflect that if you just check the score and see what happened. But the score also doesn't tell you when you look at it at a first glance that Alabama was struggling all the way up into the fourth quarter, that they didn't pull away until they scored 28 points in the fourth quarter. So, hey, just be aware. Michigan got spanked by Texas. There's a lot of smaller schools. U of I, they ended up beating Kansas, who was ranked number 19. There was a lot of schools out there that they don't have the notoriety or they don't have the name of a football school, but they made something happen. So got to be happy about that. Anyway, look, man, shoot us a quick take, 219-413-9405. And of course, we'll play your take back on our next episode. Look, we got some news for the run coming up in just a sec, so don't go anywhere. We will have some stuff about college football, the NFL, all of that stuff in just a sec. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. All right, let's get into it, man. News for the run. We got some college football to kick it off. Northern Illinois, they defeated number 5 Notre Dame and pulled off the biggest upset in school history. This is the first time NIU defeated a team that was ranked top 10 in the country. And another big upset that happened was University of Illinois. They took down Kansas, who was ranked number 19 in the country. And also, a couple of other games that were huge, Penn State and Bowling Green. Penn State pulled away, but it was a close matchup there because Penn State only won by a couple of points, 34-27. Then Bama versus South Florida was also a close game that had Bama fans scared for a minute. But Bama, they ended up scoring 28 points in the fourth quarter, and that really just wrapped up the game, sealed it tight. Then Oregon and Boise State, they played. This was also a close battle between the two. Oregon, they did pull off the victory, 37-34. And in the NFL here, the Dallas Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott is now the highest paid player in the NFL. And right before Sunday's game against the Cleveland Browns, Dak signed a huge 4-year deal for $240 million. Now, this deal includes guarantees up to $231 million. And to make things even better, the Cowboys, they opened the season with a win over the Browns that looked extremely dominant. But let's not get too hyped. Let's not get too hyped because we see the Cowboys open the year every time this way in dominating teams. So I don't want to be the one that's hating and all of that. I'm glad Dak got his money. Definitely deserved. He's been balling out. He's been doing this thing. You got to admit it, even if you don't like the Cowboys. Just actually watch him play. Watch him go through his progressions and watch how he controls the game. Don't let that tag of being a game manager really deteriorate you from how skillful this guy is. He's a great quarterback, and he deserves this money. I don't care what nobody says. He definitely deserves it, man. Anyway, look, so we got some more stuff, too, because Miami Dolphins wide receiver Tyreek Hill was detained and put in handcuffs right outside of HardRock Stadium just hours before the game. Now, it said he was pulled over for a traffic violation, but the video shows 3 police officers using excessive force, yelling, cursing, pushing him to the ground, calling them names, all of that stuff. So thankfully, Tyreek Hill was let go of and with no injuries, of course. And he eventually did play in the game against the Jaguars and balled out, did his thing. But above all, man, this was just kind of crazy because, you don't expect these sort of things to happen right before a game. I know there was an incident where a big golfer was going to play in his Masters match and he was arrested and, shaken down by the police and all of that stuff. So it's kind of crazy that this is happening. But above all, it's even more sad to me that people were screaming, saying, hey, that's Tyreek Hill with the Dolphins. Like, he's about to go play a game. There's people walking in Jersey saying, cops, what are you doing? There's people filming, driving in cars saying, what are you doing? All of this stuff is going on and the cops are just zoned out, not paying any attention, focused on doing whatever the hell they was doing to Tyreek Hill, all for nothing. And the thing that really, really bothers me about this is, obviously, people know Tyreek Hill, so it's a big thing. It's super popular. It's like, whoa, whatever is going on. But Tyreek Hill, NFL player, drives a nice car. I believe it was like a Ferrari or a Lamborghini, one of those. Don't quote me on the car, but a damn nice car. Cops banging on his window, telling him to hurry up, cussing him out and all of that stuff. And it's just like, all right, bro, like you doing all of this, but like one, I don't think they realize how stupid they're going to look once they realize this is a public figure. And it's sad to say it, but if this was a regular dude who's a drug dealer in Miami, nobody gives a shit, unfortunately. That's just the sad truth of it. Nobody is going to care because they're like, oh, he's, it's another black dude getting beat down by the cops. Unfortunately, that's the world we live in. But seeing this happen to Tyreek Hill, I think it really opens up the eyes of some people who think that, oh, it only happens to drug dealers, or this sort of thing only happens to guys who are black and up to no good, even though they may not even be up to no good. They might just be minding their business. But because this happened to Tyreek Hill, it shows a lot of people that don't matter if you're an athlete, a rapper, a superstar, and you're black. Either way, it can still happen to you. Now, I'm not one to sit here. I'm not trying to make this whole thing like black people always getting beat by the cops and all of that. We already know that's how it goes down in this country. And truthfully be told, that's how it's been going down for years, before and after cameras, unfortunately. That's just how it's been. And seeing this happen to Tyreek Hill, and a lot of people being Dolphins fans of Tyreek Hill, the person and the football player, it just shows them like, hey, bro, like this shit is just legitimately wrong. It's wrong. Not only did you do it to him and he's minding his own business, but the thing I want to say is that this happened to Tyreek Hill, but this happens to people in your local city every damn day. Unfortunately. It happens to these same people every other week in certain cities, in major cities. In Miami, I'm sure this is a normal thing for guys who are just minding their business, but drives a nice car with some tinted windows. They may work for a corporate office. They may be a drug dealer. Who knows? But either way, that does not give you the right to throw them to the ground and all of that stuff like they were doing. It just shows that it was messed up from the jump, regardless of if he's an athlete or not. Either way, it's that damn simple. Anyway, look, man, we got some more games because I want to feed you some of the games that happened over the weekend. So here's a couple of the scores. I'll just jump into that. So we had some good games on Thursday. Obviously, Chiefs, they beat the Ravens in a close matchup. It was literally a toe touch. You got to go back and check out the instant reaction I did on that. But the Chiefs won 27-20 over the Baltimore Ravens. Eagles, they played their game in St. Paulo, and they ended up winning 34-29 over the Green Bay Packers. I mentioned the Falcons took an L to the Steelers. The Bears, they beat the Titans 24-17, which we have some comments on that. The Colts and Texans were in a great battle here, but the Texans pulled it out in a close matchup, 29-27. Miami Dolphins, they did get the dub after all the Tyreek Hill drama. Ended up winning 20-17 over the Jacksonville Jaguars. And then the Dallas Cowboys smacked up the Cleveland Browns 33-17. Lions played the Rams. They won that game 26-20. And now for Monday Night Football, we get a great matchup here between the New York Jets and the San Francisco 49ers. But anyway, let's scroll back to a couple of games that happened over Sundays. So first and foremost, the Chicago Bears. How can we skip over the Chicago Bears with a lot of the fan base being Chicago here? So this is what we got to say about the Chicago Bears, because obviously the Bears won. But I think anyone in their right mind who watched this game, you've seen the Chicago Bears won, but let's all be realistic for a second and let's be honest. The Chicago Bears won that game because they were saved by the defense. The Titans lost that game more than the Chicago Bears won it. It wasn't much to feel proud about if you're a Chicago Bears fans and you watch that pathetic crap that they threw out on the field at home against the Tennessee Titans. Let's be honest, your star quarterback didn't look much like a star. Caleb Williams completed under 50% of his passes for 48% and only threw 93 yards. The veteran players was dropping passes. They were 2 for 13 on third downs. It was a lot going on where the play call was even questionable for the Chicago Bears. And let's not even forget, we talk about all the stars on the team not really being able to get going, but the offensive line, that still looks like a big problem for the Chicago Bears. I think the Bears should be happy they won, for sure, but they should also understand and realize that they escaped one. They got away with one because it was looking ugly all game. And I don't think they look much better. I know it's opening week, but I don't think they look much better from what we've seen when they had Justin Fields. I mean, so many people was talking about, oh, Justin Fields was the reason the Bears didn't succeed. He was the cancer. No, he was not. It's clear. It's evident that was not the case. Caleb Williams didn't have it going on in this game here against the Tennessee Titans. Mind you, Tennessee Titans don't have an elite defense. Tennessee Titans aren't a top 5 defense, a top 10 defense. Hell, maybe not even a top 15 defense. The offense is not that good. The offense looked pretty cheeky out there. So it's a lot that the Bears could have took advantage of, but they didn't. And for Caleb Williams, I know it's the first game. He's got to adjust and all of that stuff. But even though I was also hyped over the preseason plays we've seen, I still wanted you to understand this was something that we have to erase at the start of the season. Because preseason is a different type of players that's out there. You don't have starters out there. You don't have veterans out there. You have rookies trying to make the team. In the regular season, it's a different speed. You got everyone trying to play for their money and trying to play for their families, trying to play for an extension, trying to play for a new contract. All of these things are on the line when you're playing every single regular season game. So guys are going to be in heavy pursuit. Guys are going to get after the quarterback. They're going to give extra effort to make sure they block a pass or tackle the quarterback. And we've seen all of that on display going against the Tennessee Titans because they had Caleb Williams kind of frantic. He wasn't able to do the same type of things we've seen in the preseason. And I'm just saying, I say all of that to say, yes, the Bears won. They should be proud. They should be happy about it. But above all, they got to get it together. A lot of room for improvement here. And they're going to be playing the Houston Texans next week. It might get ugly. I don't think they'll beat that team down in Houston because that team down in Houston kind of got it figured out. They had some rust they had to throw off too and some things they had to fix and things they will fix. But above all, that offense is 50 times better than the Tennessee Titans. So I'm just saying, Bears, when you go out there and you play the Houston Texans, expect an L. Expect an L because the Texans aren't going to lie down and give you multiple opportunities to come back and win the game. The Texans are going to run the score up on you if you let them. Give C.J. Stroud the ball 15. Give C.J. Stroud the ball multiple times if you want to. I guarantee you he turns it up and put it in the end zone. Joe Mixon, he ran the ball 30 times. Against the Colts. Bears defense is not equipped for that right now. So I'm just saying, Bears, be happy about your win, but it ain't that much to be excited about because it's about to get real for you real quick. I'll put it that way. Anyway, look, man, hey, that's all I got for you today. Look, we got a lot of different things going on in the NFL season. So many different games, so many different teams. Could talk about each and every one. And maybe we will at some point. Maybe we'll figure it out throughout the season where we can't talk about all this stuff. But until then, this is all y'all getting. You just got to listen to this episode and call in and let me know if you want to hear more, if that's going to really be the case. Other than that, look, man, I'm going to leave y'all with a positive note here. And the positive note is just going to be to make sure when you're doing something, it's what you genuinely want to do. I know sometimes we got to do some things that we dislike or, sometimes you got to just take care of business even though you don't want to. But if you're giving away your extra time, make sure you're doing something you genuinely want to do. Don't half-ass it. Don't half-step it. And make sure you actually, do something that you genuinely want to do if you're going to give up and sacrifice your free time. It's going to be good for your mental health. I'm going to leave y'all there with that positive note. Other than that, man, look, share this to a cousin, a brother, an aunt, an uncle, a niece, a nephew, a coworker, a friend, a family member, your side piece, your main piece, whatever the case is. Go ahead, share this with them, especially if I talked about their favorite player or favorite team. Other than that, look, man, that's all we got for y'all today. We're going to be back later on next week. Oh, and the San Francisco 49ers going to win tonight over the New York Jets. But other than that, I'm up out of here, and I'll see y'all later on this week.